upload the recording later. It looks like it's setting up now. Good, 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 good. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your patience. Welcome on YouTube. Welcome on Zoom. I got some good stuff to cover with you on payment processing, and I've got the whiteboard covered with some stuff. But what I want to give an update first on our funding. I'm sorry, on our payment processing platforms, the way our logic works, and some things that are going live shortly between now and the next call. That is possibly today. And Tyler, you can give a thumbs up to that. I know we're waiting to hear back on a couple confirmations, but as soon as we have those confirmations, that'll happen. But let me unblur my screen. I want to go through today's subject is going to be payment processing, holds, compliance, and communication. That's what I want to talk to you about, which you need to know as an agent, because there's nothing that bothers a business more than when their funding or the payment processing is put on hold and they keep all the money from your sales. And I'll tell you how often that happens. It's happened to me. It's not uncommon, but you can bypass it with great communication. But let's unblur my background. I want to show you the applet first. Keep in mind when someone goes to the Bank Breezy page to request a quote, they're going to fill out their company information, contact information, your information's in there because they're at your replicated site, or they're asked to enter it. Okay. So they can enter your agent name, your agent ID, or they can put in your name and some dummy number because they don't know your number. We always look it up and find out who it is. But if they're on your replicated site, it's already pre-populated. All right. They fill out some information and we ask them some questions. Are you brand new to processing? What's your current processing? And if it's under 10K, we go to the NMI Wizard. NMI is our partner for under 10K. It goes to their wizard where they can select the reader they want, whether they want a card reader, they want an iPhone reader. They can select whether they want a contract or no contract. They can tell how they're processing online or in person. So they set all that up. It's a wizard. They pick their options and then they order. And what will happen is that'll trigger a phone call from NMI, a contract from NMI, and NMI provisions their deal. All right. This is spectacular. The pricing here is a little bit higher than Square, but you're an actual processor. You actually have processing. You actually get processing statements. You're not just a vendor using someone else's processor, which is all Square is. You're an actual processor there. You can grow and grow and grow and grow and renegotiate your rates and stuff. Square, you're kind of like, sorry, this is our option. So NMI. Now, we're going to replace this sometime this quarter with our own wizard, with another processor who pricing will be, we call it square beater pricing. NMI is not square beater. It's great for people doing 3,000 and up. And it's good for people under 3,000, frankly. If I'm doing a startup right now, if I'm starting up and I think I'm going to do 50,000 a month, they're great. They're great. They're going to get pricing. Square can't do that, right? Square can, but they way overcharge. So NMI is a great partner to have. We've been partnering with them since 2015. They used to be called Inovia, then they became Sphere, and now they're NMI. Inovia was started by a good friends of ours and competitors, ACN, and it was a payment processor built for network marketers. And they support your referrals. They're real good at taking care of your referrals. That's what they're built for. Sphere bought Inovia. NMI, which is one of the world's largest, bought Sphere. So they love taking care of the customer, and they're working on some neat things for us. But just so you know, we feel in this marketplace, we'd like to be able to match or beat Square, right? So we're working on a new wizard. We got to build it ourselves. It's not something that we're just linking to. We actually have to build it. So it's going to take some time, and it hasn't been started yet. The contracts are in place, but now it's time to build the wizard. So that's going to be some time, but it's coming. Over 10K though, right now, this is what happens. You enter more information about your company and stuff, but you must upload your processing statements. These are your processing statements, not your bank statements, your credit card processing statements. You must upload those. It's a required field to get a quote. That's required. So if you're talking to a prospect and they're interested in moving to dual pricing or moving, they are going to have to upload their statements. All right. It's one of the contract provisions we have with Hugh and our other processors that they want statements that shows a real conversation is open. The client's actually interested. if someone's not processing today and they say they're going to do 100,000 right there, they can do a quote there. They can put in what they're going to do. NMI will take care of them. Right? This, you must have your statements to upload to proceed. Right? So anyone who's a startup or under 10K is here, and over 10K goes here. They're also going to get an equipment survey where they can enter their equipment they use in their software. This is not a required field. It's a follow-up form. But we ask that because that'll speed up the movement process. It'll help us identify how we can help them or whether we can help them or not. So that's important to know. It's good for you to ask that. You can fill this out for your customer. You can fill these out for your customer. You can't do it on the bank loans or bank funding, but on payment processing, you can. So you can get this from, you can ask them over the phone and you can be filling it out. How they take credit cards in person, over the phone, online, you gotta know that, what industry they're in. Once they get all that filled out, then they're gonna get a contact with our expert. Presently, it's Hugh is the main key reach out. We're gonna have another person very soon who's gonna be reaching out in addition to Hugh. And so you'll be hearing from other people, not just Hugh, all right? And that should be starting this in the next week. You'll be hearing from a gal. Tyler, can you remind me what her name is? Maybe type it in the chat.
I believe it's Valerie, but I'm double checking. I'm still waiting to hear back.
Camille is the expert we're working with. So we've got another processor we're working with that can provide a little context of what Hugh's doing, and can help a little bit more, and also pays us more. And so if they can help more and pay us more, that means you get paid more because we pass through to you. So, and they've got a lot of experience in the space, and we believe they can help a lot of our clients faster and more effectively, some of those clients, than Hugh can. Hugh is going to be our high risk. The people can't get approved at this processor, we're going to be moving to Hugh. And then all the others, we're going to be moving through a new processor that we've been working with now for 4 or 5 months. All right. So that's what your payment processing platform looks like. But this is what I wanted to get to today. I want to talk about the pro tip is holds, transparency, compliance, and communication. All right. I want to tell you a little story. Holds. If you don't know this yet, this is what happens. You approve, you sell widgets, you sell balls, and these are $1,000 each, okay? And you get approval from a processor to sell those. What happens is the processor is here. We'll just say that's the processor. The order comes in, the processor then goes to Visa and makes sure you have the $1,000 available on your card, okay? Yes, it's approved. Visa says it's approved. Processor says it's approved. Here's you, the store owner. Okay, you're the store owner. That's a store. Store owner gets the $1,000 deposited from the processor to their bank next day or 2 days later. Okay, so they send the money. The processor gives you the $1,000. All right. The processor's advancing you $1,000, assuming that's a good customer. Tomorrow, this customer calls Visa, doesn't call you, calls Visa, doesn't call you, doesn't call the store owner, doesn't call the processor, calls Visa and says, I never spent $1,000 on that ball. Who would buy a ball for $1,000? It's fraud. Visa asks no questions. I mean, they say, okay, we'll put in a request, but what they do is they immediately charge back this processor any money they gave them. Processor says, I need my $1,000 back from your bank account. So they take this money back because the processor's at risk for the $1,000 they gave you. Now they got to take it back. What if it's not in your bank? What if you already spent it? Processor lost $1,000. What if you never sell another thing? They gave you $1,000 loan really on this product and they can't get it back. That's why you have to get approved for processing, because processors are only making fractions, but they gave you $1,000. They're only making a couple percent on that, not even. They're making 1% or 0.5%. Most of their money they make is going to Visa. So they're taking a risk for a sliver, just a sliver. They give you that $1,000, right? And so just so you know the flow, the Visa doesn't take any risk. Visa approves processors, and this processor wholesaler is taking all the risk. So that's why they have to charge a profit. Okay. You as an agent don't have any risk. You're not liable for that $1,000. So when we get upset with processors, so why did processors charge so much? Because I'm selling, online. Well, why do you think? Because online orders are fraud all the time with online orders. People buying things with people's credit cards. It's not even the person. They have it shipped to a PO box, and then 4 months later, you realize you've been buying protein shakes for 4 months, shipped to some PO box in another state, and you call Visa and say, "I've never ordered that protein shake from that company here, such and such online." And then what does processor do? They give all the money back to Visa immediately. The Visa already gave them, right? The fees. They come to this store and say, "We need those $50 a month for the last 4 months back." So they take $200 back from this store. Whether the store had fraud or not, we don't know. The customer said it was fraud. So because the customer said it was fraud, processor's getting the money back. No questions asked. Now the store can fight and go, "Hey, no, I've got their signature. I've got their picture. Look, I got a video of them in my store," and they can dispute it. It's called the chargeback. You can dispute it. And if you win, then you get the money back. And then Visa has to collect from the customer. Okay. So just so you know how the flow of action works, online businesses have a lot of chargebacks. It doesn't matter whether you have all the integrity in the world. There's a lot of chargebacks. The wife didn't know the husband bought it. The husband didn't know the wife bought it. The husband has no idea who ABC Products is. It's just an online store name. And I just see this $29 a month, and I'm telling I didn't order that $29 a month. Right? So processor has to take it back from store. Too many complaints like that, processor shuts off business, says, "We got to blacklist you. You've got too many chargebacks. We're basically giving you all this money and we got to keep taking it back." And sometimes you don't have the money in your account. Sometimes we try to take back $100 and you don't have it available, and it's an ACH, we can't, or it's a default NSF, we can't get it back. So why would we keep advancing you money when you have a lot of chargebacks and we can't get the money back? So because of this, when businesses go through a lot of growth, basically processors are lenders. They're advancing money and hopefully they can get it back if they need to. But when businesses are like this and they're growing like this, processors are okay because they're taking more and more, the processor's taking more and more risk. Okay, I'm giving them $1,000 a day. Now I'm giving them $2,000 a day in sales. Now they got $3,000 a day in sales. Wow, this is starting to pick up. If it happens real quick, there's a little fear. Well, what if we get a bunch of chargebacks next month? We don't know how they're doing all these sales. We don't know what they're doing, how they're doing it. So we're getting a little scared. They're growing really fast, and it could be selling a $5,000 in-person training or something, or online training, and they're going to sell 200 people at 5,000 and bring in $1 million, and then 400 of them are going to do chargebacks because they didn't get their money's worth, and we'll have already given them the $1 million and we can't get it back. So processors get scared when you're growing fast, when you don't have communication. So I learned of this. My agent didn't tell me this. My credit card agent never told me, "Hey, if you start growing fast, communicate to me so I can communicate with the processor so they know what's going on." All we got to do is have a conversation, communication, so they know what you're doing. They know you're growing and why you're growing fast, how you're doing it. Your chargeback rate is not expected to go up, because what happened to me is I had a business that was growing and we were growing by 100,000 a month. And so as you're growing by 100,000 a month, processors are giving you a lot of money. And all of a sudden one day I didn't get a deposit in the bank from the processor. Now I'm selling products. This much is the cost of the product. This much is commission to the field. This is my profit. So let's just say that's $100. And this is the cost of the product. This is the commission to the field. And this is my profits. I got to pay for the product that's sold. I got to pay the commission to the person who went in, but I don't get the $100. So what happened is we had $150,000 not come into our account. I remember my mom, Sharon, who did all of our payment processing audit with me, says, hey, we didn't get a deposit. We didn't get a deposit. I'm like, well, call them, ask where our money is, because I got to buy more product. I got to pay commissions, and we need that $100. And it was actually 150,000, right? 140,000. We did 140,000 in sales in those few days or whatever it was, and they kept it all. I shipped the product, got to pay the commissions next week, and they kept 140 grand. We were growing too fast. I called my agent and they go, oh yeah, it happens sometimes. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you recognize our growth and get me on the phone with the processor then? So that's why I'm educating you, because they held that 150 grand for almost 3 years, never gave it. I had sold my company to another company. And by the way, I had to pay the commission, had to pay the product. This put us in a bind of about 110 grand of cost, even though I didn't get the 150. Got to eat it. Sorry. What do you mean? Sorry. It's part of your agreement. It's a part of every payment processing agreement that exists. It can happen to your client. It's not uncommon to fast growing companies, but you can prevent it. How? Number one, transparency. You need to tell them what you're selling. You need to tell them if you start selling differently. You need to tell them if you add a big ticket item that you didn't have before. Just because you're approved to take credit cards, you were approved to take credit cards for cookies. You don't get to add travel memberships. You're approved to sell cookies. They gave you a risk profile. So transparency, if you add product lineups, if you got someone who got payment processing to do haircuts, but now they're selling trainings on how to open a barber for $199 a month. You didn't get approved for that. You got approved for haircuts. So you're not transparent. They start seeing all these $200 memberships every month. They're going, what's going on here? And they get scared. So they put a hold. And also you don't get the 40 grand. You're like, what are you talking about? And they get upset with you, and they get upset with the processor, and their agreement says, we've approved you to sell haircuts. Your average ticket's going to be $72. Oh, you dye hair, it's $120. That's your average ticket. We did not approve a membership of $199 because we're taking a risk that you're going to have a lot of people say, I didn't get my money's worth. We're going to pay you, and they're going to call us and say, for the last 7 months, they've been charging my membership $199. I canceled. I want that 200 times 7. I want that 1,400 bucks back. And then they go to your bank and it's not there. So they hold the money and go, okay, we're just going to, so that's what they did to me. They held that 140 grand, said, you're growing too fast. We don't know if you're going to start getting a bunch of chargebacks. You don't grow this fast. It's scaring us. So sorry. Yeah, you can leave us, but we're keeping the 150 grand. We'll keep it. We'll give 40 grand back in 6 months. We'll give another 40 in 6 months. I remember the last 50 took us, I think we were 4 years out of selling. 4 years. We hadn't even sold anything. I finally got to 50 grand. They hold it. So that could all be taken away if my agent just would have said to me, anytime you're having rapid sales, let's get on the phone with the processor and just tell them what's going on. Oh, you recruit people. They sell products. Oh, they're doing this. Look how many more. You basically have a bunch of new stores starting every day, and they're using your payment processor. So every one of those people selling product to their friends and family, you're recruiting 1,000 new people a month. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Good business. We're going to keep an eye on the chargebacks. Let's make sure we don't have recklessness. But yeah, no problem. We'll let you keep it. And we could have been proactive. So transparency, proactive, communication, proactive, plus approval. What does that mean? I was working with a company that sells nutrition product, and they decided to sell CBD. Knowing this, because this happened to me, they're not approved to sell CBD. You cannot take credit cards for CBD unless it's an international. Why? Because there's THC in some CBD. It's like non-alcohol beer. Can you guarantee there's no alcohol? Well, yeah, if there's no fermentation, but what if it was fermented, then they took the alcohol out? There might be a trace of alcohol in there. So that's why you need a liquor license to sell non-alcohol beer. Well, CBD is banned to be sold by credit cards nationwide. Michigan, maybe THC is legal to be sold, but you can't take it on a credit card. So CBD, see the local health food store who got approved to market health food adds CBD. And they start selling a bunch of CBD, which is a banned federal substance that Visa can get in trouble for. And you tell them, hey, you can't charge the CBD on a credit card. Who's going to know? Okay, hey, I'm just letting you know, if you're found out to be selling CBD in your health food store, you can sell it. You just can't take Visa credit card for it. It's a violation of your Visa rule. And if they find out, don't be surprised if they hold or shut you off. put you on the blacklist for violating fraud. You're selling a banned substance. CBD is not banned. No, but THC is, and there's no authority out there that can say there's no THC in CBD. So it doesn't matter that they say there's not. There's no testing facility approved at the federal level yet to say there's zero THC in there. In fact, most bottles say could be up to 0.333% CBD or THC. So you can't take credit card, and they do anyway. You got to tell them, don't. So I learned of a company that launched a CBD product, and they were doing about 10 million a month in sales. And the first call I made them was, you cannot add CBD in the checkout. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. 3 months later, the credit card company shuts them off. Can't do the 10 million a month anymore. Got to find a new processor. Now you're high risk. You just got shut off. For one, because you added CBD and you're probably selling 10,000 a month of it, but you took it on your credit card like a fool, even though you were cautioned not to. People think they can do things because, who's going to know? They're selling a membership. They're selling a $50 a month coaching membership. They're approved for that. They're getting their payments. All of a sudden they go, we're going to sell a $4,000 event. We're going to have a weekend event. It's only $4,000 a person. And they don't communicate that with the processor. And the sales agent didn't tell them. So that's why I'm doing this right now, guys, to share. So we've covered compliance. Don't sell THC. Don't sell something you didn't tell them you're going to do. Don't violate federal laws. Transparently tell your processor what you're really selling. They'll approve you. It'll just take longer. You may pay a little higher rate, but you won't get shut off and they won't hold your money. If you start growing, call them and tell them, hey, I'm going through a massive growth. We're running an incentive. I just want you to know communication and get their approval in advance so they don't hold your money, because they get to. And you still got to deliver the product, pay the commission, all that. So you're approved for a $50 coaching membership, let's say. Or DAC is approved to sell identity theft protection at $19 a month and $29 a month and $49. And we want to start selling a pharmacy membership. It took me 7 months to get approved. I could have turned it on like this and had the pharmacy membership live being billed to our credit card. All it is another inventory item in our thing. It's second to none. But as soon as the processor finds out, if our sales start going this, what do you mean you're selling pharmaceutical memberships? You never approved that with us. That sounds like something that could have federal record. We're shutting you guys off. So we went through, because of having our money held in the past, we communicated with our processor. We need to sell a pharmaceutical membership that's delivering pharmaceutical drugs, but it's not charging for pharmaceutical. It's only charging for the membership. And finding a processor that was okay with that took us 7 months. The month we got approved was the month our pharmacy shut down. So we never launched, thank God. But 7 months it took us with clear communication and approval, but we already had it set. We said, we want to do 1 million, 2 million customers a month. I mean, we're going to be doing $29 million, $24 million a month in this. So we don't want you to approve us to say, yeah, you could get 100 members. We want you to approve us to do 20 million, 30 million a month, because look at this membership. If this takes off, we don't want you holding the money. We got to pay for the cost. We got to pay commission. We need you to approve us based on big numbers, like 50,000 customers quickly. And it took us 7 months, but they were like, go for it. You want to put on 50,000 customers a month, you rock and roll. We're your partner, because of clear communication and approval. You know how many processors don't care about this? You know how many people out there are just trying to make their buck? So you're going to approve for a $50 coaching membership a month. That's what they approved you for as the personal trainer. And you decide you're going to have that $4,000 membership event for a weekend, and you sell 100 of them. You brought in 400 grand. So you go from, you got 2,000 members spending $50 a month, you're doing $100,000 a month, which is pretty good. The only risk to the processor is a couple of these people said, I never agreed to pay 50, and they got to refund $50 to this person and 50 to this person. But you're doing enough sales that they're not worried. But all of a sudden you did 400 grand in a weekend on only 100 people. And they're supposed to deposit 400 grand in your bank that could be gone tomorrow, and 4,000 a piece. If 5 people even say, the membership sucked, I paid 4 grand, I was not happy, they told me I had a money back guarantee, whether they said that or not, I don't want to pay this $4,000, it was not what they promoted it to be, and you got 5 people who asked for their 4,000 back, it's called the chargeback, the processor's got to get 20 grand back out of your bank, and you already spent it. How do they get the 20 grand back? They don't. So what do? Hold. They hold some of it. Now you're just a personal trainer. You're like, I didn't know. I didn't know I couldn't sell a $4,000 membership. Well, no, you can't do anything that you didn't already tell your processor. If you tell them you're selling groceries, then you can put ketchup in and mustard. But if you tell them you're selling health memberships and you're now selling travel memberships, or you're selling a seminar event for $4,000 each, you're violating what you got approved to do. So you need to communicate and get approval first. They'll approve it. They just need to know. And they may say, hey, we got to hold 10% of each one of these memberships for the first. We had a lot of people approve our pharmacy membership out of the gate and said, but we're going to keep 10% of your sales for the first 2 years. No, we only make 10%. We're paying out commission. We got costs. I'm not interested. I want to find a processor who believes in our membership, believes in us, is willing to have enough. We had, I don't know how many conversations with the pharmacy, with me, with the processor. We had letters. We had to get licensure documents from the pharmacy sent over. We had everything. It took a long time. But man, we could have put on 1 million members and we wouldn't have been shut off or held back. So if you don't have communication and you don't get approval from the processor, then you're basically asking them to advance you money that they may need to take back. They don't know you from Adam, so they put you on hold instead. And this hold can kill a business. Not getting that 100 grand, 150 grand, when we were doing the sales, I had to come up with 100 grand to pay the commission and the product costs. I had to come up with that. And we didn't have it. So we had to find ways to get the 100 grand so we didn't bounce checks for commissions and so we could buy more product. And as much as I thought the hold from the processor was ridiculous, that's wrong. We're growing fast. We got less than 1 out of every 1,000 orders as a chargeback. Our policy is give the money back. All you gotta do is call us. We send them the money back. We don't even ask them to ship the product back. We've never not returned someone's money. We've been with you 6 years. How dare you hold 100? You grew too fast. You grew too fast and you didn't tell us. So when you talk to Hugh will be overly communicative. Hey, I got to know what you're selling, why, because he's stopping you from having a hold. Other processors like Square, they'll just sign you up, but they'll hold you. They'll put a hold on, boom. What do you mean? Yeah, you grew too fast. We're keeping your money because we may get it charged back to us. And they'll take anyone like this, right? So you want to know this. So if you're getting clients who are startup, make sure they transparently describe what they're selling. If they're selling things that they tried something new, you want to tell them. If you decide to move way outside your box and add new products, we just got to let the processor know so they're not surprised by an uptick of sales on a new product that they didn't authorize you to sell. Okay, yeah, they approved you for a product offering. That's why they say, what do you sell? Let us see your website. And so if all you got to do is say, I'm going to start selling these membership portals now, these membership events, and they'll say, let us see the website, let us see your money back guarantee, let us see what they're ordering. Okay, we know some people are going to be unhappy. So what we're going to do is we're only going to give you 3,000 of the 4,000. We're going to hold 1,000 for the first 6 months till you get a track record, and we can see what kind of chargebacks. At least you know what you're dealing with. Instead of you sell it, cool, brought in 400 grand, and the next day they don't give it to you. And you're like, I just did the event. I got to pay the hotel. I got to pay the salespeople that sold the tickets. Well, you violated our rules and we get to hold your money because you put us at risk. Because if 20 people say they want their $4,000 back, we got to give them 80 grand. The processor's got to give it immediately. And they got to try to take it back from you, Mr. Personal Trainer, and you don't have it in your bank account anymore. Processor loses 80 grand, not you. They're not going to take that risk. They're going to hold your funds. So these things right here, stop the madness. Okay, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Don't be scared, but be prepared. You want to be transparent with people. And I'm overly cautious on this because I bid it. I paid the price big time. And you'll meet people who've paid the price. And when you've got to come up with money because you don't get your money, you think you're unfairly treated, whether you are or not, you just got to be educated on the industry. The processor's unfairly treated by people every day. I get statements from all of our processing clients, and I get statements anytime the processor's trying to claw back money from the vendor and can't because the money's not there. It's regular. I get 1 or 2 of those a week where it says they're trying to get $79 back from ABC Roofing, and the 79 and it's bouncing. Processor rate to 79 bucks. And they try again the next day, bouncing. Can't get the money back. So then what happens? They shut the roofing company off eventually, not immediately, but eventually. And they certainly are going to be worried about giving them their money when they sell a $7,000 roof if they can't get $79 back. Am I going to give you all 7,000 when you can't even give me $79 back? So can you see why there's some, what would you want to hold? How much would you want to advance to someone's sales if they went from $50,000 a month to $500,000 a month overnight and the average ticket item was $2,000 and wow, 5 of these people say they want their money back. It's 10 grand we got to give back to the card holder and we got to now get it back from that company. And we don't know if it's going to be in their bank or not. We don't have a track record. So hopefully this is clear. Let's go to your questions. Any questions from anybody? Gotta have a question. Gotta have a question. If not a question, anyone have any? Are there any questions in the chat bar, guys? I assume that's a no. Okay, so any questions from anyone about this? Did it make sense? I see someone's got their hand up. Maybe the co-hosts aren't able to help right now. Is it Asha? Asha, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I don't have my glasses on. Sorry about that.
Arba.
Yep, you're good, Arba.
Yes,
Arba. Well, there
Arba.
you go. Easy enough. That's what happens when you don't have your glasses on.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I just want to really thank you for making that so clear. I've been a web designer since the 90s, and I've been using payment processing, but just like Square and PayPal or whatever. And I set up a lot of clients on it as well. And so exactly what you said happened to me last year with Square. And I had no idea what happened, why it happened. They didn't give me any explanation. And so I said, okay, fine. And I just went to Stripe. But anyway,
Yep.
I say that to say that. So then, because I set up other websites and other clients, then they came to me and they said the same thing. They was like, Square shut me down. What happened? And all I could just say was, yeah, it happened to me. I don't know why, but I was just kind of feeling like they're the jerks or whatever. But now I have a much clearer, better explanation. And going into it, I'm going to explain it better as well. But hopefully I'll be able to put him on with Dak.
There you go, Arba.
Yes, that's my whole thing. So that's why I'm on here trying to learn about it. And anyway,
Yes.
thank you.
Well, Arba, thank you for that, for sharing. Sorry that it happened to you, number one. Hopefully Square sent you the money now, but Stripe does the same thing. In fact, Stripe is a little more notorious. So the biggest complaint we get is how quickly they put someone on hold versus Square. So be cautious about referring Stripe to anybody or Square. I've never used it, so I don't have a personal testimony. When I was put on hold, it was with a regular processor. In fact, I think it was Wells Fargo. But the reality is I grew fast and I didn't have communication and approval. Everyone we partner with, compliance and this communication, Hugh will be annoyingly transparent. He'll want to know every product you're going to sell. He's going to want to know how it's delivered. He's going to want to know your return policy. He's got to see your website on when they order because he knows what causes holds, right? And so he's going to help you. Hey, you got to put a line in there. You got to change your return policy. You're going to have to do this. These are the things that cause holds. So let's just solve it up front. It may take an extra week to get an approval, but when you have the approval, I remember saying to Hugh, I can launch the pharmacy product with my current processor, right? Yeah, you can at risk. Right. And I don't want to hold. So I'm not going to do that. But the reality is they don't know product codes. They don't know shopping cart. Right. And that's why people do it. People add products all the time that violate their current processing agreements. So I'm glad we covered it. I'm glad you know how it works. The good news is our teams, everyone talking to your clients, they take this very serious because in the end, they're the processor. They're the ones at risk. So they want you to know in advance. They're basically saying, if you do ABC, we got to do D. So if you're going to do ABC and not tell us, we're going to do D. We're going to hold the money. But if you do ABC and you tell us, then we're not going to do D. We're going to send you the money. So we just got to have agreements. And it maybe we got to hold some of your money for a little while or a small percentage, or maybe we're not going to. But and Hugh and our other processing pros, they know this and they're very clear with your customers. So you don't have, you want to know it too, but they fortunately, this is very important to us that it's done with your customers. All right, I see Gary and Orlando have their hands up. So go ahead, Gary. If you can unmute yourself. And Orlando, you'll be next. Arba, thanks for that comment. Gary, you able to?
Am I on?
There you go.
Yeah. Just a quick question.
Yes.
Let's say I got a client who currently does not have, who does not take credit cards, but suddenly he might want to do so. How would he get the POS and things like that?
Yeah. So what they're going to do, we started the meeting talking about that. What you do is you send them to your website, and as they're filling out the applet, they're going to say they're brand new, they're doing less than 10,000. They've not processed before. And we move them right over to our NMI wizard. It's called NMI is the processor. And there's a wizard where they can go ahead and fill out their information and pick their swipe machine. And they do it right there. We do startup work all the time. So they would just go to your website and answer the questions appropriately. And we send them to someone who onboards them and gets them started.
Right.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Orlando, how you doing, buddy? If you want to unmute yourself.
There we go, David. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, buddy. What do you got?
Fantastic. This was a great eye opener for all of us, including me. I did not know about this kind of background in payment processing, and my takeaway from this is this: it's going to help all of us, including me, to be better service providers to our clients. Because what I'm going to take away from this is I want to look at this again, and I want to create a checklist so that when I'm talking to a client about this, I said, I'm not your lawyer, but deep in your documents and the wording, there are these concerns you need to have and manage and be aware of so that they become more educated. I become a better service provider to them. And, we keep the relationship more harmonious under the circumstances instead of them saying, well, you referred me to DAC's payment processor, but you didn't let me know we were going to get into it, that all these contingencies could happen. So the more informed I am, the more informed I can make the client, and as a result, the relationship can go along much better. So I thank you. A checklist that I'm going to go over with my clients will come from this training here today.
Amen. Yeah, and it's really good because transparency with them, it's not a heavy lift. It's just an extra taste of, or extra dose of caution when you're signing up, and a transparent education to them that as you're changing your business model and as you're doing things, you got to know that communicate and get approval on everything you're doing. And then, well, in fact, we ended up going with the same processor for our pharmacy, but they gave us a different MID. They gave us a different merchant account number for our pharmacy than our identity theft protection, which is already high risk because it's a membership. People say, I didn't order that, or they decide they kept on longer than they wanted. Any monthly membership is a high risk. You call Planet Fitness and say, you've been charging me for 13 months. I haven't been there in 13 months. I called and canceled. They're getting their money back. Exactly. And the processor's got to take it back from the bank account. So it's real easy for memberships to be high risk. It's not uncommon. Just let them know why. People don't know the process. They go, processors are making so much money. They're making 3 points on every deal. You know how much they're risking? Every $100 they give you, they may never get that $100 back. So they're making 3 points and they got to pay Visa 2 of it. So they're making 1 point. Maybe, we get, our processors give us 75% of the profit and only keep 25. All that work they're doing, and some give us more. And you think about that, they're doing all that, taking all that risk for 25% of the available profit. We get it all, and they don't suck it back from you. They don't suck it back from me if there's a clawback. They eat it, right? So you guys, people, it's just like being a lender. We've been looking at what would it take for us to move into the lender space. The amount of extra money you make for the extra work and the extra risk you have, it's not worth it unless you're going to do $100 million a month and you're doing $1 billion plus, then that extra 2% is worth it. But at the size we are, we'd have to be 10 times our size before being a funder would be smart. All the people out there that are funders, some of them are losing money. DAC is not losing money. You're not losing money. Even if we have to claw back a commission, we only lose the commission. We didn't lose the 100 grand loan and the commission. We just lose the commission. You don't have to pay any of the loan back. You just pay your commission back, just like us. And so being a processor, we thought about doing it 6, 7 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, it's worth a lot if you ever sell, but we don't intend to sell. So why would you want the risk of being a processor? It's not, they lose a lot of money on a lot of clients. So they got to be cautious. So just knowing that, you can be a little empathetic to what the processor's charging. And because Visa's making money either way, they don't need any of it. They get their money back from the processor. They give it back to the customer. And the processor's the one stuck holding the bag if they can't get it back from the store owner. So, give them a little empathy and, be thankful that they exist, because there's a lot of risk. I wouldn't do it. We looked at it. We decided not to do it. It's not worth the financial risk for the small percentages you're going to make. All right. Any other questions from anybody or comments? And if not, we'll end. All right. Well, hey, listen, the funding platform is waiting to be sent out. The best funding in the marketplace. We don't determine the prices. We just find you the best offer. If you can't go to a bank, why would you go to any other revenue source than us? Because we're going to get you their best offer. And their internal sales team is paid to mark up the loan to make a big commission. We're not. We don't allow you to mark up the loan. We have a commission. You earn your commission. Sometimes it's leaving a little lower. We take care of the customer first, and we get them one offer with 5 minutes application, just like payment processing. You send them in, let a pro talk to them, 5-minute application, upload your statements. Come on. This is all. We've simplified it for all of you. All you got to do is handle the marketing on the front end. Get the word out on our processing, get the word out on our funding, get the word out on our healthcare. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday.